Honorable Minister, it is very unfortunate to have a society degenerate to a level of being devoid of morals, that public officials can stand before cameras and in broad daylight and state falsehoods and lies. I wish to respond to some of the submissions made by Vera Grace, the group chairperson of the purported landless people. We are privy to information, Honorable Minister, that some of these people are not actually landless. They have come all over. Some have come from Bundibujo, some have come from Bunyangabu, some have come from Obwera, and all the other areas across Kasese district to create a situation of landlessness with an aim, with an intention of seeking to forcefully settle on Basongora inhabited lands. That is a fact. And this problem is being fueled by the politicians, some of whom are here. Now, permit me, Honorable Minister, to briefly talk about Vera Grace. Vera Grace is a daughter to Masereka Yohana. Masereka Yohana was a beneficiary at Uganda, beneficiary of a land allocation at Uganda. Uganda was part of the HIMA Army Production Unit. The 3,500 acres I read to you, which Cabinet intended to be given to Basongora. Now, some of the Wakonzo who encroached on that land at the HIMA Army Production Farm took land that is at Uganda, and Vera Grace's father, Masereka Yohana, was a beneficiary at Uganda, part of the HIMA Army Production Farm. Grace later also bought land at Uganda of about 2 acres, which she later sold some of the land to raise, I think, financing for her political campaigns. She has a brother who is called Kule Arnold. He was also a beneficiary of land allocation at Uganda. And he's one of those militia men who were arrested in connection with the attack on Basongora, 6 Basongora who were hacked. Somebody help me with those pictures. You can show them to the minister. Muyambi. 6 Basongora and help Basongora obtain land titles, have the lands surveyed, their title deeds be issued, and they are resettled on the lands which government allocated to them as per Cabinet Minute Extract 387 of 2007. After all these lands I've read out have been surveyed and allocated to Basongora, then we have no objection with the remaining land that will be found after these lands defined by the cabinet paper have been surveyed, titled, to ensure security of tenure. Hingo came about. In Vera's presentation, she talked of 1,000 youth who were mobilized to dissuade them from joining the Nalu Rebellion, which was led by a notorious rebel, the late Amon Bazira, who was also a former Minister of State for Lands, and a father to Daniel Businge Kasagama, who holds out as the king of the Basongora. He's not our king, Honorable Minister, but the youth were mobilized from the different sub-counties across Kasese district by the politicians under the pretext of dissuading them from joining Nalu Rebellion, but with a hidden agenda of displacing Basongora from that land. Mzee Tom Kachope is here. He's an elder, and he lived on that land since the 1960s until when he and his family were displaced in 1989, Honorable Minister. The issues of land in Kasese district go far beyond what is being portrayed as landlessness. It is part of a grand scheme by the elite politicians in Kasese district to displace Vasongora from the lands of our ancestry. I am saying this without missing my words. Now, I already presented to you our position. We seek your indulgence, Honorable Minister.
These are institutions that did not buy land. This land was given to them by a chieftain of the community. They didn't buy. They were just given. They went ahead to lease to get their land titles. But unfortunately, they are now chasing up and down the community that gave them land. These are 47 acres outside the lease. We have had almost 4 joint surveyors. We have had State House surveyors, we have a report. We have had district surveyor. We have had national from Ministry of Land survey, report they have, and a private survey. All the 4 indicate that community has 47 acres outside the lease. But now, the people who have their lives, it is on record, they were humiliated, they were tortured, others imprisoned. They left there in a sorrowful state. They continued. They went back to court. WUA reached a time and said, but what is the problem? Requested court to have these matters discussed outside court, to have a consent, peaceful stay with their neighbors. A consent was written. We have it on record. Out of this consent, it was agreed that the boundaries of this national park, Chivali, should be opened, because it was said that their boundaries had never changed since 1952. There has never been any disgazzation of those boundaries. A consent was brought. It was presented to the Ministry of Land through survey and mapping. We were given surveyors to come and act according to what came out of the consent. We gave these surveyors, we facilitated everything. Over 50 million from a person who is nowhere. Sell your hen that maybe would be school fees of your child, soliciting for over 50 million to facilitate government surveyors. They came here. We reached to the security because they were written to provide security, facilitated their sittings of security to get a minute to take us to open boundaries. Painfully, all efforts were watered down. After all that expense, the work that was supposed to be done was undone. Government facilitated them, but they were turned back, as they will give a witness from Koko. We come to the municipality. Butsumba here, I lost my brother called Mumbere Road, an officer, shot because he was in his garden, by somebody claiming that the whole village belonged to him. Whole village almost. So we are saying, can we have a ground? These people have a court order. They went to court, Butsumba. They have a court order with them. This court order has never been worked upon until they thought if they could go to another level, they could get justice. That is why you hear people saying other matters are in court. But they are in court because they have not got justice. So, isn't it important for government to pull down and answer these happenings even without these court matters? Because when somebody runs to court, that is a dissatisfaction. Court orders, you who has money will win the case. Injustices, corruption happening here in Kasese. We got Chirembe, just in the municipality here. From there we go to Chamihoko. Chamihoko is in Muhocha. Chamihoko is another area where a chieftain, who is even in this house can bear witness, gave a sub-county land. After some time, there came cattle keepers. They started staying around the sub-county. They started grazing, advancing to the community. Everywhere they harvested, their cows could go to their gardens freely. They wouldn't mind. The chieftain called them and said, "Can I give you a portion where you can graze from?" They agreed. But a time of making demarcation where the chieftain was giving them, not even buying, there broke confusion. They claimed everything to be theirs. They connived with people in the community. They went to court. But while in court, even the next village was encroached on by the same people. So if we are saying that matters are in court, why can't we then first secure those next people in the next community so that these people can have justice thereafter? That is a case within here. And they are camped also there. Honorable Minister, we have another case in Rehingo.
Thank you. It is noted it's a personal line, but it is part of showing you that the landlessness that is being portrayed to you is part of a grand scheme to displace us and throw us out of Kasese district. And these people are committing these heinous crimes with impunity. Kule Arnold, her brother, was arrested for hacking Basongora to death. You are a lawyer, Honorable Minister. These people, sadly, they have been sentenced and given sentences of fines for crimes of attempted murder and causing grievous harm. Now,
we have a chieftain called Mzee Salambungu. 1989, we had a breakdown here, a breakup of the Nalu rebellion. This Nalu was fighting against government. Government had fears that a growing number of the youth may be driven and join the evil acts. So it was suggested that in the two counties, government get land where to engage these youth so that they can have their activities done and not loiter to fall into the hands of the evil. One land was got from Busongora. The caretaker was called Mr. Manyangwa, our strong cadre, NRM cadre. In the Bukonzo, they earmarked Mzee Salambungu willingly, and this person was approached by Dr. Chiyonga when he was still a minister. The Mzee willingly gave out his land on agreement that the land is going to be used and be given to him in 3 years. 3 years. These youth were put inside there. Mzee gave them caretakers, but unfortunately, land was turned into the hands of the caretakers, to the extent that they have even taken the remaining part. Mzee was evicted from the remaining part where he was staying. His house is burnt. His cattle demolished. This is how he was paid for giving land to government for use. This is an elderly man who has a big family, 4 wives from 1989. These 4 wives must have produced a whole village. This man is asking government, please, I gave you my land. Give me back my land. This land is even having a boundary called a Locaris line. So we demand government to come and open that Locaris line so that this man can have justice for his land. We go to Kasese. There is Lubangula family conflicting with the local government through the sub-county. It has been...
And then they were sentenced, given fines between 300,000 and 600,000. That is a mockery of justice, Honorable Minister. We take exception. Yes. There is violence, and you heard in her submission requesting that the UPDF be withdrawn from these resettlement lands. Now, her call for is because they want to cause mayhem, because they know once the UPDF has been withdrawn, they want to cause mayhem, commit genocide, carry out with their acts of impunity. These things I am talking about are real, and we have documentary evidence. Now, that they were evicted from Chabatukura, rather from Chisanga. Now, the Chisanga area she's talking about is part of the Ibuga refugee settlement, which was degazetted and allocated to Basongora. Now, with me here, I am in possession of a letter from the camp commandant of Ibuga refugee settlement. He describes the entire area that they were handing over and goes on to describe the boundaries. To the north, it borders Great River Wimi. To the east, it borders with UPDF agriculture farm. Deep in the west, it borders Rugendabara Group National Farm. And then to the south, it borders Hima Cement Factory. Nowhere is it said that there was another group of people, Bakonzo cultivators, who were settled on that land. This letter was addressed to the Commissioner, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, and is dated 3rd December 2007. Yes, much obliged. So, and it describes the categories of people who were residing and utilizing that land. Sudanese refugees, Rwandese refugees, Congolese refugees, Kenyan refugees, the Ugandan nationals, and these Ugandan nationals were Basongora. What? Yes. I am submitting. So, whatever Vera Grace stated is a deliberate falsehood, and permit me